My name is Josh Noble, and I'm co-author of the book Pro SharePoint 2010 Search. As part of my blog series on ProSharePointSearch.com, I'll be showing you how to add numbered refiners to the SharePoint 2010 Search Refinement web part. To start, we're going to need to navigate to a search center that we want to edit, and then get to a search results page. To do this, I'm going to execute a search, which brings me to a search results page, and I notice that I don't have the numbered refiners yet applied. So to start off, I need to go to Site Actions, edit the page. It's very important to note that everything I show you here is a manual process. If you have multiple search centers, you'll need to make sure that you make these changes at each one of them. So here you'll find all the various web parts that we have displayed on this particular SharePoint 2010 Search Center. For the purposes of this, we're only concerned about this particular refinement panel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to edit the refinement panel. To make adjustments to anything but the most basic settings in SharePoint 2010's refinement panel, you are going to need to be comfortable with XML code. To edit the XML, you'll need to open the Filter Category Definition XML, which can be found right here. And then you'll want to select all of this and copy it into a notepad so that you can work with it a bit easier. As a word of caution, if you're not comfortable with XML, then please be very careful doing anything here. If you save edits that are not done properly and don't have a backup copy of the XML, then you may find yourself deploying a whole new search center due to bad code. To mitigate this risk, I always recommend to make sure to have a backup copy of the XML before doing any edits. This way, if you make a mistake, at least you can reset it. That's something that I've already done in this particular case. So for those of you that are not familiar with XML, I do want to point out a couple things here. First off is the opening brackets. Opening brackets will open up a tag, and so any of the particular categories that we'll be working with, you can find between opening tags there, and then consequently also you'll find them at the end of a tag, a closing bracket, which will close the particular tag. So this works a lot like algebra. Parameters in the XML are found between these opening and closing brackets. One of the things that's going to make your life a little bit easier when you're looking around within this XML is doing a little bit of search. So what you'll want to do in this case is search for category. When you search for category, you'll be able to find any of the particular categories that are listed within the refinement panel. So in this case, by searching for category and looking right after it, I can find here that this is the particular parameter for the result type refinement. If I jump down the list to a little later, I can find this category is actually in regards to the site refinement, and so on and so forth. I can jump through the page here. So the first thing that we want to do, as we mentioned, was to be able to add numbered refiners. And you can do this to any categories that are displayed on the refinement panel. So here we're going to go to our first one, and we'll find category, and then we'll notice that this is the result type category. I happen to know that right before the closing bracket that this particular parameter is showing up. Less linked text equals show fewer. So if you're not quite sure where the closing bracket is, you can search for this, and that will take you straight to it. So what we're going to want to do here is add a new property in. So the property that we particularly want to show in this case is something that would display the refinement counts. So that particular property is show counts equals, and then count in quotations. So this particular property is going to add the numbered refiners. And so in this case, by adding it in this one spot, I am going to show numbered refiners for the result type. But I can jump throughout the page and find other refinement categories to throw this into. Let's do the second one here. This will be throwing numbered refiners into the site refinement category. And then we'll just do one more here. And if you notice, I'm just searching for less because I happen to know that that will bring me to the end of a particular tag. So here I'll add that in. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all this XML, copy it, and replace the XML that was already in the refinement panel. So before I accept these changes, I do need to make sure that this checkbox is not checked. If you have Use Default Configuration checked, then SharePoint will ignore any of the changes that you just made. So I need to make sure that's unchecked, and then I'm going to apply my changes, and I'll select OK. Now, as a note of caution, when you're manipulating the XML, make sure not to add any unnecessary line breaks. I know by doing this, it's sometimes easier to see the XML, but it can also cause some unnecessary challenges. So then we're going to be saving and closing. In a real scenario, you'd want to make sure that you checked in because your users won't be able to see your changes until you check in the page again. And at this point, we can see that I now have numbered refiners for the result type refinement category, the site refinement category, and the author refinement category. If we remember, I didn't do anything to manipulate that final refinement category, so I'm not seeing numbered refiners there. Now you should have all the knowledge necessary to expose refiner counts in your SharePoint 2010 environment. For additional information on how to get the most out of your SharePoint 2010 search environment, please check out our book, Pro SharePoint 2010 Search, which is available through Press and any major book retailer. Also, make sure to keep up with our blog at prosharepointsearch.com. Finally, feel free to shoot me emails at josh@prosharepointsearch.com.